assurances in its Hobby Lobby decision that employees would still get contraceptive coverage once the corporations they worked for filed paperwork exempting them. Some groups said that the paperwork was against their religion, and the court agreed with them, granting a temporary order to a Christian college that relieved it of the religious burden of filling out a form. Democrats in Congress are trying to reverse the impact of the court's Hobby Lobby ruling. On Wednesday, they introduced a new law to require companies to provide all contraceptions that are covered under the Affordable Care Act.
We are here to ensure that no CEO or corporation can come between people and their guaranteed access to health care, period.
Here to discuss the growing implications of the Hobby Lobby ruling, Gabby Dominzain, a staffer with President Obama's 2012 re-election campaign, is back with us. Justin Snow, political editor and White House correspondent with Metro Weekly, an LGBT magazine in Washington, and Chris Geidner, legal editor at BuzzFeed. I'm going to first get to the order the Supreme Court issued last week saying Wheaton College didn't have to fill out the paperwork notifying its insurers that they would need to provide contraceptive coverage. Justice Sotomayor joined Justices Elena Kagan and Ruth Bader Ginsburg delivered a scathing dissent that included this line: "Those who are bound by our decisions usually believe they can take us at our word. Not so today." So, Chris, have we ever seen anything like this before, where the court arose a decision that it just decided?
I mean, this was definitely unexpected. It was this issue of the form and the nonprofits was going on the side while the for-profit decision was before the court with Hobby Lobby. But the fact is that in his majority opinion for the court, Justice Alito said they relied upon the fact that there was this form option for nonprofits to explain why there was another method of the Congress and the administration getting across the contraception coverage. And so on Monday of the week, they had said, Samuel Alito said, like, well, form option, so obviously there's other ways of getting contraception coverage. And then before we left for the 4th of July holiday, the justices said, well, that might be a problem too.
And Gabby, I see you shaking your head.
I'm just confused by this whole thing. I'm flabbergasted by it. I don't understand how I, as a woman, should have to go to my boss and ask him, hey, do you think an IUD is better than the pill? Which one do you allow me to have, right? Men's sexual choices and men's sexual decision-making in medical are not questioned at all. And women are continuously questioned on these choices. It doesn't make any sense to me that it's 2014 and this is what we're talking about.
And so this is going to have political implications. And even though the court said that this, this ruling was narrow and only applied to closely held corporations, we then found out that half the workforce works for privately held corporations. And so, obviously, I'm going to the political question. Are Democrats going to capitalize on this in the midterm?
I don't even think they need to, right? So 90-ish%, I think it's like 95% of women have taken birth control. We are all flatly on the side of being able to make our own decisions. And again, Republicans and conservatives are drawing the line for us on this. This is something that they're doing by themselves.
Okay, 95% of women have used birth control, but does that mean that they're all going to side with Democrats on this issue? Come on.
I mean, as the only woman at the table, I can tell you.
Deferring. Yeah, I don't see you two deferring to Gabby.
That there's, I don't know of any woman, conservative or liberal, that wants their boss to make their decisions for them on what birth control to use. There's just an absolute ignorance of what the actual implications, day-to-day implications of this are for women. And it's obvious that 5 old conservatives in the Supreme Court decided the discrimination. It wasn't discrimination, no problem. Just keep on discriminating against them.
So, Justin, what executive actions are being considered by the White House to guarantee birth control coverage to employees of Hobby Lobby and other corporations with religious exemptions?
Well, they haven't actually announced any executive orders yet, but we've heard that the White House is considering taking some sort of action, which we've seen the president do a lot of lately when Congress hasn't been on his side on various issues. We've also seen some legislation introduced in Congress where they're trying to combat this decision and try and restore some of this coverage that was originally in the Affordable Care Act.
And what's the likelihood, given nothing gets done in Washington, nothing gets done in Congress, and so you have Senators Murray and Udall introducing this bill, but is it going to go anywhere?
Well, it's not going to go anywhere, and the other thing is it's important to realize that this wasn't a decision about what the Constitution says. Which does, in the long run, make it more easily dealt with, even if not in this current Congress, because this was a decision about what the Religious Freedom Restoration Act means, and not a decision about what the First Amendment means. So while the Murray-Udall Act relates to specifically the contraception coverage, that doesn't change the larger ruling about whether or not corporations have the ability to seek these sorts of religious exemptions.
How surprising was it that the Supreme Court actually ruled that corporations are people, my friend?
It wasn't as surprising as it was political, able to be politically exploited, because you can't really square the language in the Religious Freedom Restoration Act with decisions like Citizens United and come up with an answer where you don't allow that corporation to exercise this law, this statute, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act.
And I think as far as the political angle, I mean, your article was excellent in that regard, in that it's not just the implications for women, it's the implications for the LGBT community as well.
Which we're going to be talking about in the next.
What's going to happen there? Okay, well then I gave you your.
Well, no, but keep finishing. Keep finishing your thought.
No, what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen when a corporation with a soul that prays, all of a sudden decides that LGBT people, they don't go with their religion? Okay, perfect. No health care for you. Yeah. Again, what is this?
Well, Gabby, you've given me the perfect segue to say my panel is staying right here when we come back.